Hi guys, welcome again. So we're discussing about promises and how to do asynchronous coding. And in this video, we'll be talking about briefly about async and await, which is the syntactical sugar we have, which is released in ES 2016. And in that, we have this facility to do the asynchronous coding with using async and await keyword. Before that, in promises, one small thing we need to focus on. Here we are doing it. We are creating that delay using set timeout. Let's directly call a API, and I will be calling a API called a JSON placeholder. Okay, and this API is as a free fake REST API we have, and I can call this using a fetch. So I've just copy paste this code which is there here, and you can see that this is the same thing I want to achieve it here. I'm just using a fetch API to call this, and then it will return me a promise. And just this fetch API work in a different way. So let's first do it, and then I'll explain it what it basically is doing. So here, after this code, I'll just call this to dos, and this what this fetch API is doing basically, it's first going to this URL, and this URL contain some data in JSON format, and it will convert that into an object format using the second part whatever you're seeing. As I told you, it will return as a promise. Okay, and this fetch API will return as a promise, and this promise will basically this fetch API do additional step to convert that promise from JSON to parse it, so that we can understand that in object format. And then if I do console.log, it will print that thing in the console. So let's see in the console what we have, and you can see that inside the console we have a to do object, and it has some property which is we are getting from an API. So this is only for the this is fetch API. We have this additional string, additional thing. Otherwise, we don't have this extra thing. Only with the fetch API they have implemented in such a way that it will return as a promise, but we need to do this additional conversion to a JSON to a object format so that we can see that here. Okay, so this is the promise. In promise we are able to do. So let's create another file which will basically do the same thing for us. So I'll create another file. I'll add it the name to async await js, async js. Okay, so I'll just give async.js. And this async.js, what I will do here is I will implement async and await keyword, which the same thing we are doing. We can do that using async and await. Means here you can see that we called the API, and then we are doing on some top of that. So what we can do, I can duplicate this function here by using async. So how this async and await works, the function which was taking some time, you need to make that function with the async keyword. So for that, I'll just give async and async, and I'll just give the function name get to dos, and inside that I need to add, I forgot to add the function keyword. You need to add the function keyword, and now we have a get to do method which we are mentioning async, because if you don't mention async, you can't use the await keyword to wait for that API call. So here what I will do, I'll have a constant response, or I can use var to get response, and here I use the await keyword, and I will call that fetch API which we have, and I'll copy the URL we have from here, this fetch URL, fetch API URL. I'll just copy it, and as I told you here, this fetch API have a extra step we need to do, that we need to convert that into JSON format, then only we can log it. So for now what I will do it, I will create this one. After this I'll create another one, data, and this one basically await. I'll use await here also because that I don't know how much time it will take, so I'll just use response.json, and that's it. So now it will be converted into the data, and I can do some console log here, and I'll just print this data. And I forgot to add this async property to our HTML, so let's quickly add that, so that that's why we are not able to see this reflected here, because we have not added in the HTML. So I'll just add it here, and for to add it, what I will do is I'll go to this index HTML, and instead of script I'll just move this to async.js. If I save it, see, we are not getting any error. We have not called this get to do, so we need to call this get to do to execute it. So just use get to do's, and I'll call this. and you can see that user ID here exactly same how we are doing using promises. But we have a async and await keyword. And remember, the important part is here, if you want to use this await keyword, which is basically we are waiting for this response to come, whether it is taking 5 minutes or 5 seconds, we are waiting for this response to come, then we'll have that in the response variable. So to use this await keyword, the function should be decorated with the async keyword. So that is the important thing in async command. So let's replicate the thing which we are doing there. For that, what I will do, I'll just copy paste some method which we had here. I'll just copy paste few method from here so that I can do whatever we are doing here. Okay, and I'll just copy paste this method which we will be reusing it. And after this, I'll add this. We have a users, we have a get users. So now we need to make it async and await. Okay, now instead of using calling this create user directly and using then, let's use async and await to handle it more elegantly. So how to do that? Let me create another function. I will call this method as I can call this initial init. I can call it, and inside the init, I will call this await keyword. So for to call await keyword as I discussed, I need to add the function as async so that I can use await keyword. I'll use await keyword here and I'll call this create user and I'll pass some value. So I'll copy paste. I will give something like title equal to Rocky, and email we don't care about what we are giving. So I'll just give any random value at the Gmail, right? Okay, so this is what I've added. Now what I will do after this, so I'm just saying that what I'm saying here, let me first close this one. I'm saying wait for this part to complete it, then execute something. So I will after this I'll call the get users method. So let's call this get users, and now we need to call this init function here. So I'll just call this init function, save it, and it should have after 3 seconds all this file added here. And we have push, okay, users.push, but we are getting undefined here. Why is that? See, we are getting third part as undefined. I'm not sure why is that, because we are passing this, we are passing a title, and we are using it comma. It's everything is fine, everything is, yeah. Oh, we don't have a title property, we have a name property. Okay, sorry, so I've just given a name. So now it will be working as expected, and we have the Rocky here, and this is more elegant way to handle that. Okay, and it's basically without using then you can handle that using async and await. That's another way to do that. And this is all about asynchronous programming in JavaScript. We have three items we discussed, that is callbacks, promises, and now async and await. And async and await we can use with the post part also. As I told you, we can call an API, and then we can do that using fetch API, or we have another API like Axios we can use to do that. But for now, whenever you use fetch API, remember that we have a middle step between that. We need to convert that data, because if I remove this step, just observe what will happen. And if I see this response here directly, if I console log it, you can see that we are getting a response. Okay, and that response is basically some kind of object we don't understand. We are interested in the data, but that is not there. So that's why we need to convert that into a JSON. We need to pass that into an object. So if I add this line back, and if I print this data, you'll be able to see those data here. This is an important step when you're using fetch API. And always remember to add async keyword when you are using await. Otherwise, if I remove this, you can see that it will give me a compilation error here. Await is only valid in async function. That is important. That is all about asynchronous programming in JavaScript. Next week, I'll be available with another interview question. See you there. Bye bye.